If you're a working mom and no matter how hard you work, it still feels like you can't quite get ahead, I want to share something with you. A little over a year ago, I wasn't looking to quit my job. I wasn't trying to build some massive online business, and I definitely wasn't chasing the dream of getting rich overnight. Honestly, I was just trying to find a way to make an extra $500 a month. Because in my mind, an extra $500 would have meant a little less stress, a little more breathing room, and not feeling like every unexpected bill could throw our entire month off. But what I didn't realize was that I wasn't really searching for an extra $500. I was searching for another option, another way to live, another way to provide for my family without feeling like the only answer was working more hours. And that search ended up changing far more than our finances. So if you are new here, hi, my name's Charlene. I am a wife, a mom of 3, and I have worked full-time in dentistry for over 20 years. And for most of my life, I believed success came from doing what we'd all been taught. Work hard, keep your head down, be grateful for your job, and eventually life will get easier. But for me, that's not how this story unfolded. A while ago, I was working full-time in dentistry, where I'd been for 20 years. And honestly, my life felt like it was on repeat. Every morning, my alarm went off before the sun came up. I'd grab my coffee, head to work, spend the day taking care of everybody else, then come home to make dinner, clean up, get ready for the next day, and do it all over again. At the same time, I honestly believe that's just what adulthood looked like. Work hard, pay the bills, and hope things eventually get easier. But no matter how hard we worked, it always felt like something came up. A car repair, a medical bill, school expenses. Something always seemed to need our money before we could ever get ahead. And it felt like every single time we made a little progress, life pushed us right back to where we started. I still remember having to check my bank account before I walked into the grocery store, pulling out my calculator as I shopped, adding everything up before I put it in the cart, and asking myself, can this wait till payday? Or do we really need this today? Have you ever caught yourself doing that? Not because you're bad with money, but because every single dollar already has a job before you even earn it. And some days I just sit in my car for a few minutes before driving home. Not because I didn't want to go inside, but because I was mentally exhausted and I was trying to leave work at work so that I could show up as the mom my kids deserved. And I remember just thinking, why does it still feel this hard? We were doing everything that we were supposed to do. So why does it feel like we're barely keeping up? I loved my job. I love my family. But deep down, I knew that I wanted more than just surviving from one paycheck to the next. I wanted more time with my kid, more camping trips, more horseback ride, more memories, because I didn't want to wake up one day and realize my kids had grown up while I was too busy trying to make a living. That's when I started looking for another option. Not because I wanted to become an entrepreneur, not because I thought I was going to build some huge online business. I was simply looking for a different future, one where making more money didn't automatically mean spending more time away from the people I loved. And I remember thinking, is this really it? Is this what the next 20 years of my life are going to look like? Wake up, go to work, pay the bills, come home exhausted, go to bed, and then do it all over again tomorrow. That thought honestly scared me. Not because I hated my job, because I didn't. There were so many things I loved about working in dentistry, but I couldn't stop wondering, what if life could look different? What if making more money didn't always mean working more hours? What if there was another way to create an income without sacrificing even more time with my family? And for the first time, I realized the life I wanted wasn't going to magically happen on its own. If I kept doing exactly what I had always done, I'd probably be in the exact same place another year from now, maybe even 5 years from now. And that realization hit me really hard because I didn't want to spend the next 20 years hoping that things would somehow change. I wanted to be the reason they changed. And that's when something shifted. I stopped asking, what's the fastest way to make extra money? And I started asking, well, what skills do I need to learn to build a different future? And looking back, that one question changed everything. Because the moment I stopped chasing quick fixes and started investing in myself, my entire direction began to change. I didn't know exactly where it would lead. I just knew that I couldn't stay where I was. And that became the turning point of my story. So I decided to stop waiting for life to change on its own. I decided to stop hoping that somehow working harder would finally get me where I wanted to be. Because if the last 20 years had taught me anything, it was that more hours didn't automatically create more freedom. I realized something had to change, and that something was me. Not who I was as a wife or as a mom, but the skills that I had, because no one had ever taught me that there was another way to earn an extra income. No one had ever taught me the skills that people were using to build businesses online. And I just remember thinking, if other ordinary people can learn this, why can't I? And that question gave me hope. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking for a shortcut. I wasn't looking for another side hustle. I was looking for an education, something that could teach me skills I'd have for the rest of my life. So I made a promise to myself. I was going to give this an honest chance, even if it felt uncomfortable, even if I wasn't confident, even if I had to learn everything from scratch, because I knew one thing for certain: if I didn't try, nothing in my life was going to ever change. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life wondering, what if? So I took the first step. I didn't know where it would lead. I just knew that it was finally a step in a different direction. So I got to work. Not all day, not for hours and hours on end, just whenever I could find a little bit of time. Before work, during my lunch break, after dinner, and sometimes after everyone else had already gone to bed. I didn't have the perfect schedule. I just decided to use the time that I did have, little by little. I started learning skills that no one had ever taught me before. How to use social media to attract people instead of chasing them. How to create content that actually helped others. How to build an email list. How automation could continue working even while I was at my full-time job or sleeping. And I'll be honest, it wasn't easy in the beginning. I made videos that barely got any views, stumbled over my words, overthought everything, and some days I questioned whether I was even capable of doing this. And there were moments that I wanted to quit, but every time that thought crossed my mind, I'd remind myself why I started. I wasn't trying to become famous. I wasn't trying to build $1 million business overnight. I was trying to create another option for my family. Then one day, I found this blueprint that pulled everything together. Instead of trying to piece information together from dozens of different places, I finally had a step-by-step system to follow. And it taught me the skills I had been searching for: how to build a business using social media, how to create systems that worked behind the scenes, how to let automation do all the heavy lifting instead of spending all day on my phone. And one of the biggest blessings was that I didn't have to build everything from scratch. The training was already there, the systems were pre-built and ready to go, the community was there to help when I got stuck. And for someone who is still working full-time, that changed everything. From that point on, I stopped worrying about being perfect. I stopped comparing myself to everybody else. I focused on one thing: showing up consistently, one lesson, one video, one post, one email, one step at a time. And before I even realized it, I wasn't just learning how an online business worked anymore. I was actually building one. And looking back now, it wasn't one big breakthrough that changed my life. It was hundreds of small decisions: choosing to learn, choosing to keep showing up, choosing not to quit. And over time, those small decisions completely changed the direction of my future. Now things look very different. I'm still working at my job in dentistry. And honestly, I'm proud to say that, because this journey was never about quitting my job overnight. It was about creating another option, another source of income, another path for my future. And today, I no longer feel like working more hours is my only way to make extra money. Instead, I've built something that fits around my life instead of asking my life to fit around it. I've learned skills that no one can ever take away from me, skills that continue to create opportunities long after I finish my workday. And that's given me something I hadn't felt in a very long time: hope. Hope that our future can look different. Hope that I have more control over where my life is headed. Hope that I'm building something that can give me and my family more choices. The income has been amazing. But if I'm being completely honest, that isn't the biggest blessing. The biggest blessing is how I feel. I don't wake up feeling stuck anymore. I don't feel like I'm waiting for someone else to decide what I'm worth. I don't feel like my future has already been written. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm building it. Do I still have challenges? Absolutely. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I still make mistakes. But now, when something doesn't go the way that I planned, I don't ask, well, maybe this isn't for me. Instead, I ask, well, what can this teach me? And that mindset has changed everything. Sometimes I smile when I think back to the woman who was desperately searching for an extra $500 a month, because looking back, she wasn't really searching for more money. She was searching for more possibilities, more freedom, more hope. And that's what she found. Not overnight and not by luck, but one decision, one lesson, and one small step at a time. So if you're watching this and you feel like you're doing everything right, you're working hard, you're paying the bills, you're showing up for your family every single day, but somehow it still feels like you're falling behind, I want you to know something. I've been exactly where you are. I know what it feels like to wonder, is this really all my life is ever going to be? I know what it feels like to want more for your family, but not know where to start. And if there's one thing this journey has taught me, it's that your future doesn't change because you wish it would. It changes the moment that you decide to learn something that can change it. You don't have to have everything figured out today. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be techie. You don't need thousands of followers. You don't even need to believe that you're capable yet. You just have to be willing to take one small step, because that's exactly where my journey started. One decision, one lesson, one day at a time. And looking back, that small decision has completely changed the direction of my life. So if you're a working mom who's looking for another option, I put together a free resource that is going to walk you through the exact blueprint that I follow to start building my online business around my full-time job. You can find it at buildingwealthdaily.com. I have it linked for you down below. Take a look, learn what's possible, and see if it's something that could possibly help you too. And if you've enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel, because every week I share what I'm learning, what's working, what's not, and how I'm building this business while still working full-time and raising a family. And my hope is that my journey gives you the confidence to start yours, because your life doesn't have to look exactly like it does today. 1 year from now, everything could be completely different, but it all starts with taking that very first step. I'll see you in the next video.